What's going on, y'all? It's J Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Bringing you guys another recap. We're coming off of Power Moves weekend, which I was in the building for. Had to fly back ATL to Arizona. Was pretty exhausted by the time I landed, but we still had iBattle versus Trenches card, which for me, I've been a personal fan of, especially a while, let's say month or two back. I did a video about the top 5 developmental leagues in Battle Rap, talking about new rosters, how they match up, and I had Trenches at number 2. I thought you could debate them for the number 1 spot. You can even do that more so now. And I had iBattle at number 4. And I know I had some people, some back and forth with some people just discussing differences in opinions, right, of how the list is ranked, what they consider important for it, right? But I think a theme card between the rosters is the perfect way to kind of settle things, right? So was very happy when I saw it announced. And I even liked the setup. It was like, even though it was in New York, I thought it was going to be like extreme, maybe an extreme home game for iBattle, but really wasn't that at all. I mean, half of the crowd, granted, like Trenches is based in Philly, so it's really not that far of a drive to get people over, but half of the crowd was clearly, Trenches backing up their guys. Literally the other half is iBattle in their roster, so you really get that league versus league feel from it too. It's just a concept of a card I really like, but I do believe there was some separation showed clearly between one league and the other. There was 5 main battles. Surprise battle was just Trenches versus Trenches, so we don't really got to talk about that much. But there's a few different things I want to talk about from this card. Without further ado, let's get into the recap. So like I said, there was an extra battle added to the card with OG Capri versus Crush, so it's just Trenches talent. Really not a necessary battle. Crush won, not in the craziest fashion, but if there's any takeaway I can take from this battle, it's that it's the second or third time I've seen OG Capri kind of rep the Trenches or battle on a Trenches related event. I do not think he's got it. Content wise, he doesn't. Delivery wise, it's just I'm not seeing a lot of battle rap talent there. There's really no other way for me to put that one. If there's any takeaway, it's that one takeaway. But then from there, you get into the 5 battle main card. First one was Nox versus Z the Dropout, which I thought was a good battle, good starter. And I thought Z the Dropout took the first round clear. Not that Nox had a bad round. I just thought Z had quite a good round, to be honest with you. I thought he was bombing on him a bit, but as you get into the second and third, I will say, and I'll say this as well, Nox is one of my personal favorites from the iBattle roster. I feel like there's like a level of uniqueness to his style, and Z said it at one point in the battle, that he is like an angry frat guy kind of approach, and I can almost kind of see it, but I don't mind it because he's really the only guy that sounds like that. I think he's kind of being true to himself in a sense, and it worked for him in the second and third. I thought Nox's second is his best round. Stretch Z like a zigzag. I don't remember if it was in the third, but the whole Pimp My Ride concept, fish scale in the trunk like Pimp My Ride, he's going a bit crazy, and even if it is a bit over animated, right? Like I said, it's true to his style. It's really his sound, so I don't mind it. Thought he took the second round clear, just had a better round than Z. It's not like he did anything bad in the second. Similar to the first. Z just was at a higher level. Second round, Nox at a higher level. As you get to the third, I thought Nox kind of, even though it's not as good as his second, kind of keeps near that same level of consistency and momentum. And Z doesn't choke. We'll talk about chokes later in this card for sure. But it feels like he's kind of remembering his rhymes as he goes, a little bit more stumbly, and it takes away from his energy, kind of ends his round on a little bit of like a less energetic, quieter note. So Nox, for iBattle, starts out 2-1 clear, so it's 1-0 for iBattle, and a pretty solid performance from Nox, which would turn out to be one of the better iBattle performers of the card as we went on. But then from there, you get into a matchup that has a little bit more name value to it that I was excited for, looking forward to going into the card, and that is Muop versus Appa. And Muop is someone that I wasn't the biggest believer of, to be honest with you, when the Trenches first started. I believe he battled, was it Lee LND, and even though he won that battle, I wasn't crazy over it. He beat Cuban, and which was a good win, but once again, it wasn't that crazy over the material. So all that happens, and this is versus an Appa who has been the headband holder, so basically like the chain holder, the champion there for over 800 days, I think it is, over 2 years. So I had Appa 2-1 going in, but I was excited to see how this went because Muop kept saying I have the style to kind of combat Appa, combat a Eunice, right? And he kind of proved it too, man. I'm gonna just say it up front. This was a clear 3-0 for Muop. I think the first, I guess, would be the most competitive round of the battle. I thought Muop I liked the impersonation angle we took, and we've heard, Appa doing the impersonation battles in spaces. It was a big way of kind of how he made noise for himself at first. So we've heard a bunch of different angles of it, different bars about it, but I thought he really went into like the details of it, which I liked. Kind of had some punches more towards the end, but mostly like a tailored angle-based pace round to start. And Appa in response, I thought had a little bit too much joking in his first round. I mean, there's bars in there. I'm not saying at all that's just what he did in the first, but there was a little bit too much of it compared to on the other side. Over half of the guys round is like kind of like really talking to you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of aggression as well, kind of belittlement, fucking nerd, fucking dweeb, which you wouldn't think adds to it, but if you're talking down to a guy, if you get the aggression right and you're landing with consistency, those ad-libs, that little bit of belittlement in the minute, a little bit of belittlement in the moment kind of adds to the effect and the optics of it. So I had Muap up 1-0. You get to the second. I thought Muap's second is the best, not just his best round of the battle, probably the best round of the battle overall, and shows a big improvement in punching, in my opinion, which Muap doesn't have to be a puncher, right? I think that Real Talk is a bag he's specifically good in. Obviously, the pockets coming from Philly, I think that's even a bigger part of his style. But I had said versus Jay Moore, even though he won that battle as well, his punch quality can be hit or miss. There's like some bars I think will be a little outdated here and there, maybe a little reachier, here. But I thought his second really stepped up just word quality wise. I thought that he just rapped better. I thought he just punched better. And that's something I would have said going into the battle Appa is definitely just better at. But kind of bombed on him in the second. It was 2-0 clear by the time that we were hitting the third round. I will say, though, in that second, Appa had a line, it was a steak line, like you can almost hear it moo, when like the steak isn't cooked enough, and it's like you can hear the cow moo. I love that flip. I thought that was low-key one of the best bars of the round. But still, Muap up 2-0 clear. And then you get to the third round, and Muap has the Real Talk heavy round, which that's, like I said, that's one of the better things in his bag, so obviously that helps him. But then in response, Appa chokes, you know what I'm saying, which is, in my opinion, very rare. I don't know if I've ever seen Appa choke. Got about like halfway through his round. I don't know if he was going to win off content either way, and I mean, he was already down 2-0 to begin with, but he never really gets it back either. Like, he kind of gets a couple lines back, but kind of chokes again, and then ends up cutting the round. So Muap, he said he had the keys to kind of dominate this performance, and it's another moment where Muap can be expected to be good. What if it's like a 2-1 debatable where he beats Jay Moore, and then he goes over the top and gets a 3-0, and over here, I would say even a bit of a harder matchup here, considering what Appa means to iBattle, but like he said that he could kind of diffuse the style, put some pressure on him. I thought that's exactly what he did, not just with the Real Talk, the aggression, the things he's good at, but I thought he also raised the pen for this battle. So Muap keeps impressing me, man. What can you say? Shout out to Moo World Order and everything going on there. He keeps proving people wrong, keeps proving me wrong battle after battle. And I've already kind of upgraded where I've seen Muap in the trenches rankings over the last few, but you could really debate he's up there with some of the best in the trenches with these last couple results, because it's something I love from battle rappers when they're asked to be good, but they go above and beyond and make their work undeniable. So trenches, even in it at 1-1, 2 battles in. And next battle to talk about is Dre Majesty versus Nakeem the Poet, which I think is one of the more competitive battles of the card. I still was pretty confident in the winner that I called, but I thought that certain rounds in here, there's definitely an element of back and forth. Battle started out on Nakeem as well, who is a pretty much straight puncher. I feel like one of the newer, even though technically like all of them are new brands developing, right? But I feel like out of some of those iBattle cats, I definitely saw him later than an Appa or a Los Preem per se, right? And I will say one thing about Nakeem punches well, you know what I'm saying? And I think in his first and third in particular in this battle, I think he makes it pretty competitive and definitely has some standout lines. But when we hear kind of with iBattle, you'll hear some people's critique about a lot of them are doing Twerk or Nitty impressions, right? That they're punchers that use a lot of those kind of trends and things that Twerk and Nitty do and do at a high level and kind of just incorporate it to their style. And I think Nakeem is like one of the bigger examples of that. I think he even had, the new move that Twerk does where like he uses a punch, but he flips his own punch like 4 or 5 different times. He did that with like Assassin's Creed at one point. Even his delivery in some ways, I do feel like it lacks a little bit of that uniqueness and separating factor. Still a good performance, but I'm just saying particularly for the sound, which is still a big part of being a battle rapper, and I think it paled a little bit in comparison into Dre Majesty, who I've been saying kind of the opposite of Muap, where people were bought in on Muap off rip, but it took me some time to really see the level he was getting to. I thought that people were ready to kind of just downplay Dre. First round versus Jay Moore knocked out of the turn. He was supposed to kind of just like come and go. But I've been a fan of Dre's style, and I feel like he battles very hungry. And all these trenches guys have a lot of aggression in their delivery, but particularly with Dre, it's almost like an amount of desperation you see in it. And I thought he also kind of took this battle personal. Lots of ad-libbing, saying, they gave up on me. He talked about iBattle, which I guess he appeared on, and then they didn't really want to move forward investing in his career. And he kind of shows that. He's talking shit any moment that he can. I'm just kind of a fan of that next level of delivery. It adds a little bit of effect to the battle. And also with someone with Nakeem that as the battle went on, I thought was kind of brought his energy down a little bit more as you get to the third round. But first round of the battle, it's fairly competitive, but I still comfortably gave it to Dre Majesty. Nakeem was punching, and listen, it's a good first round, but I thought Dre was reaching higher peaks, showing more of an all-around bag. Obviously, like many of the Trenches talents, Real Talk, I feel is where he really kind of gets most of his greatness in a battle from. But on top of that, he was extremely performative in this battle. Like in the second round when he had the I don't even trust this phone. Motherfucker, he spiked his phone 2 or 3 times. I don't know if that's his actual phone. He's like, I don't even trust this phone because it'd be asking for my fingerprints. I thought that was fire. Just getting to a punch in a lot of different ways. I think wordplay-wise, he's solid, but it's kind of like Moab too, where that's not necessarily the forefront of his style by any means, but he can get into that bag a little bit. So I had him pretty comfortably edging the first. I had him clearly winning the second round of this battle. And it's not that Nakeem, like I said, is having really bad rounds. Kind of like Z, he didn't choke. I thought sometimes he was kind of finding his rhyme here and there, but even that didn't take big points away. It's just more about what Dre was doing. And I think the third round is the closest of this battle. I'm seeing most people call it 2-1, and I'm not mad at anyone that's edging Nakeem the third round of the battle, but I even thought Dre competed with him in that round as well. So to be perfectly honest with you, I did have Dre Majesty with a gentleman's 30 in this one. Before, I thought Muap and Appa, more of a clear 30. This one, like I said, more of, 2 of the rounds were close enough because I thought Nakeem was good, but I still gave it to Dre, and then he still got the cleanest round of the battle in the second. So another good performance for Dre Majesty. I believe the last one was a Baby James or Bo the Great, one of the kind of lower level Trenches talents. But that's 2 good ones in a row, man, and also another win for Trenches. So after starting out down 1-0 to iBattle, with Knox versus Z the Dropout, you have back-to-back 3-0s in my opinion that got them back up in the count. Then you have Fibo versus Jay Moore, which ended up really being the weakest battle of the main card. I was a little worried about that, especially with where both their momentum kind of was coming into the battle. Jay Moore, last time I talked about him, talked about how I thought he started to kind of overbook after getting so much hype. Really is the first one from the Trenches class or Trenches brand artist that people liked. And obviously the drug talk is fantastic, the real talk, the way he ad-libs, what are we talking about? There is things to like about his style, but I was not really seeing any development punching wise, really tailored wise. I mean, he has a lot of untailored material, which Fibo even mentions in this battle, but it's not like he really needed any of that to win this one. To be honest, I'll tell you right now, Jay Moore won this battle, and Fibo is just someone that I don't see winning battles. I'm not particularly a huge fan of his style. I know a lot of it is very comedy based, and he just has some clever punches. In his second, he had a line I really liked. I have a line from time to time, like a tombstone with the birth date and the death date. So it's not that he's incapable of writing good bars, but I think that it's gimmicky. I do think his style is gimmicky. And when we talk about kind of iBattle traveling, can they have those same styles and succeed outside of the home league? Fibo is one that I don't really think can. And I think this battle kind of proves that in a sense, although it's just an overly bad day in the office for him. First round was his best round. It's his only clean round. I thought it was okay. I thought he was punching back to back and it was solid. But Jay Moore, even without really developing, because it's not like he went in here and it's like a Muap or a Dre who added more to his bag. He did what he always did. It just worked out in the first round of this battle. He was landing haymakers at a higher rate. He was just punching better. I thought some of the slogan flips, because Fibo has a million slogans. He says, "I'm on thin ice, pal." I was born on thin ice, like Happy Gilmore. That was fire. And then I'll let it clap after the sing-along, like Gullah Gullah Island. So some peak haymakers, just more consistency and power to his round. But as you get to the second and third, Moore's second is a step down from his first. This would have been a beatable Moore performance, but Fibo choked almost instantly into his second, and then he kind of got it back. But Appa with his third earlier, he ended up choking, just cutting his second round. So there's really nothingness there. Jay Moore just had to be clean, which he was, and it was a decent second. It could have been beat, but it was in front of a choking round. Then you get to the third round of the battle, and once again, Fibo chokes pretty early into his round, but this time there was really he just couldn't get it back. He's like, I just don't got it, and he calls time. And what's crazy is Jay Moore's third is terrible. Like, this battle went downhill very fast. He was kind of rapping. It looked like he was going to choke too. He's kind of stumbling, going real slow through his raps. And then, like, super duper early in his round, he just says, man, like, the way you make me not even want to rap anymore. As if, like, Fibo choking and kind of, like, giving him the free W made him want to rap less. Jay Moore, I just think you were going to choke too. You know what I'm saying? But either way, I guess you would call this Jay Moore 3-0 because at least he got something out in his third round. But definitely a battle I did not exactly expect to be great, and it did really not turn out to be great. But another, win for the trenches. You know what I mean? At the very least, it was 2-0 up until that mess that was the third round. So they're already kind of up on the night. They're already up 3-1 and probably have won. And that was before the main event, which was King versus Los Prime, which was, out of all these, which were good, this was the one we've been asking for. I think iBattle versus Trenches even getting booked is really based around the fact that you could book King versus Los Prime, and I'm happy to say the main event was the battle of the night. It was very, very good, and I could say I'm pretty impressed with both individuals in this one. And then you have the first round of the battle to start out, which I think would be the closest round when you break it down, although I do think there's another round of this battle that's very close as well, but extremely debatable. I thought King came out the gate punching, which he does. I mean, there's so many punches in this battle. I'm not even going to... There's going to be a couple quotes I'll give, but I'm not even going to try to attempt it because both of them throw out, I mean, literally, the chain punching is the style. Like, they're throwing out maybe like 100 punches per round, it feels like. So the first can be hard to judge because it's just, you can get punch drunk. It's just so much of almost like the same. I do think Preem had a longer round, and there's kind of parts of it that aren't as efficient or consistent. I mean, he had like a 10-minute plus round, but I do think there was like a section, couple minutes to build up in his first, then you have like a section of I think like 4 to 5 minutes where he was really bombing, and I thought this was going to be the back half of his first, but then he almost wraps himself out of the first, because after that, like I'd say like majority of the middle of that round being great, it kind of tails back off to what the beginning of the first was. So I think that leaves room for debate if you prefer the efficiency of a more compact round like what King had, although he was wrapping fairly long rounds in this battle too, but I still edged Preem the first round. Very good round from both, and it would have been, in my opinion, even more clear if he simply didn't kind of over wrap and take away from his momentum, but I had him up 1-0. You get to the second round, King was fantastic in the second round. I mean, he's punching again, but bringing it up to that upper level, that like a step up from his first. And Preem was good in his second too. He does have a choke though. He gets it back and is able to finish his round, but a choke is a choke, which kind of just hindered iBattle all night. And you look at the Fibo battle, he makes it like he basically can't compete with the way that he was choking. Appa has a choke. Kind of, I said the other two have been stumbling a little bit. And then, this obviously knots it up pretty evenly at 1-1 with King and Preem, in my opinion. Then you get to the third, and the third's close. Both of them punched well, but for me, the difference is definitely King's tailoredness. He has this extremely angle-heavy third, going at kind of the politics of iBattle, them not dropping Los's footage whenever he loses, how he's kind of treated on the league and kind of has his hand held or protected in a sense. So the angle built up momentum as it went on. I actually think he ended his round with some of his most momentum. He cut his round a little bit abrupt. It looked like he might be about to forget a line, but he did it so quickly. It's not like there's anything too much to take points from or anything. Just something I noticed. Still a strong round, and I think that is the next step for King and really any of these like upcoming punchers. Is it's one thing to punch back to back and be crazy, but then to attach that to a topic, specifically to angle for a round, I thought it worked fantastic for him in the third versus the dropout. And once again, it's the round that I enjoy the most from King in this battle. Technically, his second has more power punching, but to be kind of this surgical with it, I think not only boosted up his round, it was such a great change of pace from all the back-to-back punching that when Preem goes in his third, even though he is a good third as well, since it's just straight punching like the first 4 rounds, I'd even say King's angle diffuses it a bit in a sense where it's like, okay, now since we've heard that change of pace, we want to see Preem kind of respond with it, and it shows the difference in that all-around skill set. And I feel like you see that throughout the card in many of these matchups. I got to give Trenches a lot of credit. I did not believe a lot in that roster. When I first saw that flyer go out for the tournament, I even cracked some jokes, but each battle I see them add more and more to their skill set. You know what I mean? It's one thing to be punching great or do what you do great. It's one thing for Muwap to be really good at the real talk in the pockets, right? Same for Dre Majesty. It's one thing for King to just be really good with back-to-back punches, but where I even see them, kind of show that separation from iBattle and even someone on their own roster like Jay Moore is that each battle you see them add something new to the toolkit. You know what I'm saying? Get a little bit more tailored. tailored, maybe take a little bit more of a risk performatively. And I think it really helped King to end this battle. So the third, in my opinion, is extremely debatable too. If someone wants to make a case for Preem first and third, I'm definitely not mad at it, but I edged King the third as well. With him clearly getting the second, I gave him the battle overall 2-1. But as I said, battle of the night, and aside from a slip up from Preem in the second, I think it's 6 very, very good rounds of rapping. But overall, brings my result for the whole event to Trenches 4-1 and winning the night. They already won. I feel like they won the 3 before that more clear. It turns out that the only win iBattle gets on the night is Knox in that opening battle, second and third. But Muop 3-0. I had Dre Majesty Gentleman's, although I think it's one of the closer ones of the night. And then really it's Jay Moore 2-0 because they both lost that third round. And then here, you call it either way, but even if you call it for Preem, it would still be 3-2 to the Trenches. But overall, still love the theme card. Even with clear results, it tells you a lot about what all of them got going on either side. And this is a reason, that I had Trenches above iBattle in that developmental system is, listen, you had some good iBattle performances tonight too, but it does bring up 2 questions. One, when they had to kind of move out of their safety zone and just in terms of setting, you're seeing a bit of the difference in their performances as well. And plus that bit of all-around attack, you know what I mean? I thought Muop, and listen, I think Appa is really the most well-rounded out of that roster, but Muop getting to the angling, the performance, a little bit of the straight disrespect, and adding to his punches. And that's something that I love about Trenches is each battle I'm seeing one of them clearly have worked on something. Like Muop was not a very good puncher the first time I saw him. I'm seeing him clearly get better at that. The same goes for Dre Majesty. King was only a puncher, and now I'm seeing he started rebuttaling out of nowhere, and he was good at it. Him and Preem had some pretty decent rebuttals in the battle, too, that I didn't call out when I was recapping it just now. But the angling, which I feel like is almost when he's at his best, and he definitely did not have that the first 3 or 4 times we saw him rap. So I feel like that difference, in the skill set and how it's growing kind of showed here. And I want to see what some of these iBattle guys do next because obviously I believe in Preem, but I would like to see a little bit more versatility. There's no reason he can't do what King did in that third round. I think that there's also a good debate that like Preem as a pen can do a little bit more. He can reach some more creative levels, but he does a lot of the same, the car bar concepts, in a white Explorer, in a black Challenger. And that's good. It's a kind of a comfortable zone for him, and he is getting to haymakers that way, but it's a little bit of complacency. And when you have someone that's just about as good as you, and then they try a couple more things, try to show more versatility, it shows in a battle like this. It shows overall in the event like this. But I want to hear your guys' opinions in the comment section down below. If you did watch it, how'd you feel about it? If you didn't, it is on the iBattle app. Shout out to them. I know a lot of app talk in this culture that people don't like, but the quality of life-wise, like actually how it functions, I'd actually say that they have the best app. So go cop that if you want to go see the battles, and eventually they'll drop on YouTube if you want to wait for that. And just let me know your winners in the comment section down below. But it's been J Smo Reviews again here, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.